Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dal, and recently I've been able to spend more time gearing out my alts. The Mythic Farak prog is nearly finished and my rogue stands tall in some of the best in slot gear, meaning that it's finally time to get my alts finished out before the inevitable Season 4. I usually gear out my alts through Mythic Plus content, but recently I've picked up PvP for a few of my classes as well. And as somebody who gets to host community duels every single week, I get to check out some of the best and the most fun class builds available, and I'm usually a sucker for any playstyle which prioritizes one-shots and really cheesy burst capabilities. And today I wanted to showcase you one of those builds for the Elemental Shaman, which I think might be my favorite way to enjoy Shaman when PvPing in Dragonflight. But right before we get into that, most of you guys watching these kind of class build videos are still not subscribed. However, the more of you remind, the more of you do, so let's keep it going. Subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell if you're watching the videos anyway, especially if you want to get more content regarding Dragonflight Season 4, patch 10.6 and 10.7, as well as any future The War Within expansion announcements going forward. But right before we dive into how you can craft this build for yourself, I first want to show off some clips of what this build is capable of within PvP content, before we get into the rotation, the gearing process, and everything you need in order to make this build work. Now let's go over how to craft this Shaman build yourself if you're looking to pick up Ellie as a potential ult going forward. I'm not exactly sure which player I should credit with this build in particular, but if anything, kudos to Big from the EU region for showcasing it to us over the last few weeks. First of all, Elemental Shamans have a natural knack for burst and even one-shots over the last few expansions thanks to their natural crit-oriented affinity of Elemental Fury, which increases the amount of damage you do with crits within PvP. This crucial component still stands today, even after all crit damage has been reduced by a flat amount for PvP back during the patch 10.1, though still Shaman's propensity for big crits is still above most other classes. We'll be further augmenting our crit damage with the Sky Fury totem, which boosts our critical strike damage by 20% for us and our allies every 40 seconds. As a spec, Elemental Shamans are a great combo class thanks to the mastery of Elemental Overload, which causes certain abilities a chance to proc a second time, usually at a reduced value. And we will be utilizing this overload mechanic in order to guarantee ourselves with some additional ability procs to increase our overall consistency. Stormkeeper is one such ability which will force overloads on our lightning bolts, while further increasing their damage done for the next handful of seconds with a short 1-minute cooldown. Echo Chamber talent will be used to increase the damage of all overloaded abilities. Power of the Maelstrom will also allow us to prime our next few lightning bolts after casting a lava burst. If we luck out on a proc, that means we get an additional guaranteed procs of elemental overload with our next lightning bolt. And to complete the overload combo, we have Surge of Power. After casting an Earthshock, Earthquake, or Elemental Blast, our next ability gains an additional effect. The only big noteworthy effects for PvP are the Earthshock Frostshock combination, which can be used to root our targets in place. Another combo worth mentioning is the Earthshock Lightning Bolt combo, which will cause us to gain 1 additional overload within PvP content. And the easiest way to gain Surge of Power procs off the rip is through our newest tier set bonus, which causes Primordials to fire off a free Elemental Blast at our targets, even if we're not talented into Elemental Blast. The Primordial Blast is an elemental attack which will also grant us the proc of Equilibrium, which increases all damage by a set amount, since the elemental damage is made up of fire, frost, and nature elements. Elemental Blast also has a chance to benefit from our Overload mastery, but only slightly, though its damage won't be super significant in this build specifically. Elemental Blast will also attach a lightning rod to our target, causing all nature damage we deal to strike our rod targets for a portion of all damage, which essentially will make our lightning bolts do 20% more damage in a way. And speaking of, we also will be using a few more talents to help empower our lightning bolt damage further, starting with Volcanic Surge talent, which transforms the Shaman playstyle a little. With this talent, we will no longer gain instant cast procs of Lava Bursts, but instead we cut down the cast time of lightning bolts and increase all lightning bolt damage by a flat 30%. As part of this combo, we'll also be picking up Ice Fury to further enhance it with Electrified Shocks, which will cause our Frost Shocked targets to take additional nature damage for a handful of seconds, which should be part of our one-shot combo. Lastly, we'll pick up a handful of talents which will empower Fire and Lava Burst damage, and then finish it off with Ascendance. This build doesn't necessarily use Lava Burst as part of its one-shot, but it still comes in handy. Primordial Wave plus our Season 3 tier set makes Shamans naturally lean towards a Lava Burst style gameplay, but this build kind of breaks this interaction completely. But using Primordial Wave together with Ascendance does allow us to gain a Lava Burst, which has some benefits attached with the tier set and Primordial, so at best it's just an extra button that lets you deal additional instant cast damage. Next, let's go over how to gear just for this build if you do end up trying to craft it yourself. For the most part, we'll be using PvP gear with heavy leaning towards critical strike, using gems, ring enchants, and even weapon enchants to further bolster our critical strike chances. Bracers and Cloak will be enchanted with speed, since speed tends to be one of the best stats for PvP content. Your chest will be enhanced with waking stats, and your legs can be imbued with a frozen spell thread. Both your boots and belt should be augmented with additional stamina. And it's a good idea to add the Precognition embellishment to at least one piece of crafted gear as a caster, so that if you do end up avoiding enemy interrupts, you get a moment of CC immunity, which can help you set up your burst even easier. Next, I want to give a quick note on some of the consumables that you can use in order to have some more fun with this build. This is especially more useful if you end up playing your ults more casually rather than competitively. Usually I do all my pushing on my main, the Rogue, but sometimes it is fun to just go blow off some steam or have some casual good time on an ult with a wacky build. And in a more casual environment, such as Battlegrounds, you can use certain consumables to help increase your enjoyment and your experience. With the recent changes to the Honor vendors, you can now buy open world PvP consumables and use them in casual PvP instance content. The vendor sells a variety of useful buffs and utility potions, but one of the best ones that I found the use of is Prismatic Snail Mucus, which increases your crit chance by 30%, making those crit focused one-shots a little bit easier to achieve from time to time. Another item on the list that I found kinda useful is the volatile Crimson Embers, which increases our damage by 30%, though it does make us take a bit of damage over time also, which can be somewhat less than ideal. These consumables are sold on the Honor vendor in the city of Voldraken. Another set of consumables can be bought from the PvP vendors in the Battle for Azeroth zones, New Zuldazar for the Horde or Borealis for the Alliance. Both of these vendors will sell a variety of items, but most important one to note is the Salt Water Potion, which can be purchased for Marks of Honor, and will grant you additional damage without any internal self-damaging effects. To repeat myself, these items will not function in rated content, but in any unrated, casual instance, these can easily spice up your burst and surprise others with some unexpected yet satisfying big combo crits. Finally, let's go over how to set up this burst combination. First, we'll need to prime ourselves with a handful of buffs, starting with Power of the Maelstrom, which we gain from Lava Burst. It is not necessary to complete our entire burst combo, but it definitely does make it a lot punchier if we do get this buff ahead of time. Afterwards, we go to use Ice Fury to prime our future Frost Shocks, then Stormkeeper to prime our Lightning Bolts, drop down Sky Fury and any unused damage trinkets. Then we use Frost Shock into Primordial for free Elemental Blast, afterwards we Lightning Bolt. Following that, we hit the enemy target with an Earth Shock since we have the Maelstrom, and then send another empowered Lightning Bolt afterwards. And if any part of this burst crits, then for the most part this should be a one-shot against most classes, or at the worst will bring him incredibly low for us to finish him off with a couple of Frost Shocks or two afterwards. But otherwise it's going to be the Elemental Shaman Overload one-shot combo. Definitely a very fun build, though I haven't really seen too many players play this since so many more are leaning towards a lava playstyle, which is safer, a lot more mobile, less cast heavy and less setup heavy. So this is generally a fun build that I don't really know how competitive it could be at the high end since not a lot of people play it, but it's definitely an absolute blast if you just enjoy simple one-shots in WoW PvP. I want to thank all of you guys so much for watching this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you want to see more build videos like these for other classes in the future, primarily highlighting cheesy and even bursty one-shot combinations, be sure to let me know in the comments below. As per usual, if you guys enjoyed this video or found it informative, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. I would very much appreciate it. And as always, in the description of every single video and live stream, we have a link to our Discord community channel. Probably the best place to reach out to me directly in case you want to let me know what you thought about this video or hang out with the rest of the community to discuss some of the upcoming changes. Join our Discord to become part of the community. But otherwise, thank you all so much for watching this video. I do hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know all of your thoughts down below. And as always, I'll see all of you guys in another video.